John, it's such a pleasure for you to join me here on Spolitics. And I'm going to start the podcast by asking you a question that I ask every guest who appears on Spolitics, which is name an athlete or a sports moment that made you love sports.
When I saw Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and other people of color who are athletes figure out the only way they're going to become a billionaire is to go from bouncing the ball to owning the stadium, from hitting the ball, bouncing the ball, rocking the mic, whatever it is, to owning something that produces something where you write checks, not just cash them. The only way you become a billionaire in sports is to switch to business. If you're an athlete, you can't cash enough checks. And so when I saw that move, so I know this is not the answer you thought you'd get from me, but when I saw those moves, I realized why they were so good on the court. Because you can be really, really talented on the court, but at some point you got to use your brain. A lot of this I've been told by the best athletes, a lot of their gifts are not just that they're gifted athletically, they're strategists. They're thinking about, they're strategizing, they're looking at the moves of the people that have defended them the best, and they're figuring that out in advance. So they figure they're going to go right, so they're going to go left, or whatever they're going to do. And that applies to that high frequency thinking. My wife calls it high frequency thinking, Shatra. That high frequency thinking applies to all the other parts of life and business. So that's my answer. My favorite athletes are those that are bilingual, and I mean, Hank Aaron lived right around the corner from me here in Atlanta. God rest his soul. And he made some money in sports, not much back in those days, but he made a mint. I mean, a mint in business. He owned car dealerships. He just killed the game. So all those folks who understand that it's the sports business are my heroes and sheroes in sports. And by the way, you are amazing. And and I'm here because of you. I'm here because I respect and admire you. We don't know each other well, but we will. But I read people very well. And even before I met you, I read your spirit and your energy, and I said she is about something. She's good people. She's balanced. You don't take yourself seriously. You take life seriously, and you're about the business, and you're wicked smart. And I love people who are wicked smart. And so I just wanted to pay that respect to you on air.
Well, that means a lot coming from somebody like you who is also somebody who is wicked smart. But I'm so glad you brought up Michael Jordan because that immediately leads me to this question. What did you think about his decision to sell the Hornets? Because Michael Jordan was the only black owner in professional sports who owned the majority of his team. Of course, there's other black owners who own pieces and 10% and 5%, but he was the only one who was the majority owner in sports. So what did you think about his decision to sell?
Well, I mean, first of all, you won't know what was driving that decision until you're inside of Mike's inner circle. So we don't know really what was driving that. Was it a tax reason? Was it estate planning? Was he, did he have some pressures because there was another investment he needed to make? Did he have was there a time capsule on it tied to a range of decisions he had to make? But I would just say this. Businesses are meant to be sold. I mean, that's my answer. Businesses, that's the whole purpose of it, is you build it, you grow it, you monetize it by selling it. I built the biggest, as an example, I founded the largest minority owner of single family rental homes in America. I own 700 homes from Atlanta to North Florida. I built the company starting in 2016. And in Christmas Eve 2021, I sold that company for $121 million. And I own 35% of the new company with the new owners. And people ask me, how do I feel about it? I feel just fine. I feel $121 million about it. I feel just fine about it. I cleared all my debts. I paid off every investor. I clipped my coupon on Wall Street. I did a Wall Street institutional quality deal. I've done other deals, but they weren't Wall Street institutional quality. I was financed by Barings, and which is an institutional lender. Then later financed by Citigroup. They gave me non-recourse debt for 100 million and 200 million. Sorry, 200 million and 100 million dollars respectively. Non-recourse meaning I had no personal guarantee. My investors got paid back plus interest. I'll say it was 7%. Um, I cleared everything, and I hooked up minority vendors, and I made people. I gave people opportunities they didn't have before. But my time had come, it was time for me to sell that company, monetize it, and go do something else. And so while I'm still a shareholder in that company, now that's set me up to do a deal that I believe will be 10 times larger in the same space. Black people sometimes we get emotional about business. It's just business. Business is a capitalism is a gladiator sport, and so I do understand what you're saying about he was the only majority owner who was black. That's really important. But by the way, that will never go away. Just like I said, I didn't say I was a CEO or the chairman of this company, Promise Homes Company. That's the name of that company. I built 50 companies, but I said I'm the founder. Now, Jemele, I'll always be the founder. I'll, forever, forever in the lifetime, no matter what happens with that company, unless they do things I don't want to be associated with, I'll say I'm the founder of that company. So he was a majority owner, probably the first. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. And that history will inspire others and will be forever more the case. And hopefully left his DNA there, and he'll go on to do other things. Which he's by the way he's now involved in NASCAR,
Right.
which as you know I love motorsports. That's my sport. I race cars, and the president of NASCAR is on my board of directors, and he's already changing NASCAR. I know because I hear the backstories. So look, no one gets to no one should be counting somebody else's money. you know. So we just don't know what decisions he was making. I make decisions sometimes at this tax bracket on for tax purposes. That wasn't my reality 8 years ago. I was about to get in that bag 8 years ago, getting that dollar, getting that bag, getting that cash. It was about I would do something 8 years ago that was emotional. Oh, this is going to look good. My people were, my people are going to be inspired by this or whatever. My black community is good for the black community, whatever. And now I think all those things are true. That what I'm doing is still good for the black community, whatever. But I don't make the decision for that reason. I make the decision because it's a good business decision. Period. Full stop. And my Jewish brothers and sisters, you're not seeing them running around saying I'm about to start a Jewish business or I'm a Jewish owner. You know, we black folks need a black Jewish business plan. They own it, and it's about the money, it's about the capital, and then once they finish with it, they then donate to their Jewish causes. By the way, synagogues, schools, philanthropy in their community, and white people do the same thing. Asian people do the same thing. It's only black people who get hung up, in my opinion, on too much emotions in business. I over answered your question by about 150%.
No, but you gave me a lot of meat on that bone to pick from. So to your point about the emotion in business, those other groups that you mentioned, they don't have, if I may give you some gentle pushback, they do
Oh,
not
give
have
me harsh
the same.
pushback. I respect.
No, no, but they don't have the same legacy in this country that we do. And by legacy, I mean that in both a positive and a negative way, given what our trajectory has been in this country. So, aren't they in a better position to do that than we are? Like, can we really service our capitalist needs in lieu of serving our community, or are those things not mutually exclusive?
Oh, this is the best question I've been asked all year. And I'm not even, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. You can't, even if you want to distribute money like a socialist, you have to first collect it like a capitalist. Our problem is that we've never tried to use capitalism to grow our community and to meet our social needs. That is just the opposite. Like every group of people you mentioned, except, and I'll give carve outs here to be very specific. So let's say there's 200 plus ethnic groups in America. It's more than that, but major ethnic groups. All of them except three groups use capitalism in a capitalist democracy. We're in a capitalist democracy. All of them but three use capitalism to come up. from nothing. So I'm going to be very charitable and I'll say poor whites. I'm going to put us last. Native American Indians and African Americans. By the way, not African Africans, Jemele. Not Nigerians, not Ghanaians. They're killing it. They're killing the game. Not Jamaicans and Bohemians. They're killing the game here in America. They come here in 3 days, within 3 years coming here. They're valets they're doormen at the hotel. Then they're valets. Then they own a taxi company. Own a taxi. Then they got 3 taxis. They got all their cousins working at the front of the hotel. This is the park where we met. The Park Hyatt in D.C. That is literally the story. That's why you see all those Ethiopians out front. Now they own the Uber companies. They went and bought a house together. They understood capitalism and their self-esteem was not destroyed. Black people, we need 5 things to be successful. As much education as you can shove down your throat. Understanding how capitalism free enterprise works. Getting the memo on money, financial literacy. Family structure and resiliency. Self-esteem and confidence. Those 2 things are different. Role models and environment. We were denied all 5 things. Native American Indians were denied all 5 things, at least 4 of those 5. We were only people enslaved on American soil. I'm saying it if you didn't say it, to make it clear. But poor whites were denied most of those things, which is why poor whites are different from rich whites. If race was the only issue, I'm being provocative now, but I'm serious. If race was the only issue that we're dealing with, everybody would be either rich white or poor white. You would have all blacks who are poor or all blacks who are killing it. And that's it. They're only black ghettos in America, African American ghettos in America, because they mess with our head. They mess with our head, and they destroyed our self-esteem, and then didn't give us the financial literacy. There was a bank called the Freedmen's Bank, created by Abraham Lincoln after the Civil War, and I'm the only American citizen ever to cause the renaming of a building on the White House campus. It's called the Freedmen's Bank Building. I got Secretary Lew under Obama to rename the building after the former slaves who put their money in this bank. And so you had 40 acres in January 1865, mule February 1865, bank in 1865 March, and then in April Lincoln was assassinated. So, and Frederick Douglass ran that bank. So my point is, it's not like we got the memo on free enterprise, capitalism, economics, and ownership and screwed it up. We never got the memo. And so we want to get that bag. We want to get that cash. We're trying to make a living, not build a life. So we've never used capitalism and free enterprise to set ourselves free, ever. So somebody's going to listen to this and go, oh, he don't know about Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's 1 4 square blocks area. If you want to be generous, you say it was a 12 square block area. Or if you want to be really generous, say it was a region within a city in a country that has literally 20,000 cities, right? And so it wasn't like capitalism was everywhere and we got jammed up. It was working that one place. They, of course, came and burned it down. We rebuilt it. People don't know that story. We rebuilt it. And it was actually the 60s and integration that ultimately caused Black Wall Street to ultimately disintegrate. But capitalism was working. We have not used the system to our benefit. That's what my mission is.
So, and by the way, it wasn't just Wall Street. It was other, as you pointed out, there were other pockets in America where that happened. Like in Detroit, where I'm from, it was Black Bottom.
Yeah.
It was Black Bottom.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, it was always these pockets, and every time we built it and tried to maintain the self-sufficiency, every time we pulled ourselves up from those symbolic bootstraps that often get thrown in our face, the white people burned it to the ground.
And so, but nobody burned nothing down now. No, you and I are sitting here rich, both you and me. They're the real talk. We're not black. We're green, right? There's no clan on my. There's no clan.
I don't know, man. Sometimes
I'm sitting on 40 acres in a Sprinter van right now. I'm in North Fayetteville. I'm looking at my 40 acres, and I got a bunch of broke ass people. Can I say it, broke ass on the? I got a bunch of broke folks around me who don't look like me.
No, you can say broke ass. It's okay. Right. We could cuss on this podcast.
And me and my family doing just fine, sitting on our 40 acres that I bought with legal money. By the way, I did a 1031 tax-free exchange from a condo I had on La Tejera in LA and bought the property that I sit on now, which was about financial literacy. That's maybe we'll get into that in a minute. But I turned a $200,000 purchase into a $700,000 property is now turned into a $4 million property using financial literacy. And the Klan wasn't here telling me I couldn't buy it. No one showed up with pitchforks. No one's trying to undermine me. You can't, because I'm smarter than the folks trying to undermine me in this topic. I've come my I was homeless at Lockheed Airport. Well, you know where that is. I was homeless. I grew up in Compton, California, in South Central LA. I can tell you the address. And now I'm the 1%. So what I know is this works. I know it works for Don Peoples. I just talked to Roland Martin yesterday. It's working for him. It's working for Stephen A. Smith. It's working for we got a whole list, not just actors and entertainers and athletes. Although we can talk about that, it's working for anybody who applies. I have 4 million clients at Operation Hope. Million. We've deployed $4.5 billion at Operation Hope in the last 20 years of our 32-year history. And those loans are paying. And when you get your credit score up to 700 or 750 through Operation Hope, the bank doesn't tell you no. They're not racist. They're capitalists. They're trying to get every loan that pays they can. At midnight, when you hit that little button, apply for your loan today, AI will set us all free. At midnight, that computer doesn't say, are you black? Are you female? It says, do you meet the ratios? And what's your credit score? The answer is yes. You get a loan approval at midnight. So yes, racism is real. Jim Crow was real. My second great grandfather was a slave and born in Aberdeen, Mississippi, and fought in the Union Army. My second great grandmother was a slave in Mississippi. I'm not talking about I'm not somebody with a silver spoon in my mouth. My great grandfather was a sharecropper. My mother's mother owned a shotgun shack in East St. Louis. But look at me now, because I focused on what I could control. I can't control how you feel about me. I can't control racism in the man. Not 1 ounce of my self-esteem, Quincy Jones quote, depends on your acceptance of me. All I did, Jemele, was to find another path. All I'm saying is racism is like rain. It's either falling someplace or it's gathering. So you might as well get out an umbrella and a color you like and start strolling through it, because it's not going to change, so we must. Racism's not going away. It's as old as the earth. It's mankind on earth itself. Why are we surprised? So I just wake up twice as good, I got to be twice as smart, be twice as much integrity, work twice as hard, and that means that I'm going to clock anybody I negotiate with. So there's a positive side of racism. The hater makes me better, and everybody I've given this memo to has succeeded. I'm gonna tell your audience one thing. I hope some people are cynical right now saying, no, I'm not feeling what he's saying. Great, listen to this. What's the lowest credit score group in America? African American.
I would say, is it us? Okay.
620. That means when you walk in the
That
bank.
wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it might be, but okay.
Well, no, it's bad. No, Jemele, it's bad, because in our neighborhood, you and I have a credit score of 750, 780. Pookie them and our cousins got a credit score of 500 and 550. There's a whole bunch of Pookie and thems in our cousins and friends. And so our high credit score is being drugged down by their low credit score, and the average is 620. So 620 is actually good news about really bad news. What's my point?
Right.
You can't get a decent car loan at 620. You can't get a prime mortgage to become a homeowner at 680 or 700. It's 700. You can't get.
You'll be overpaying for everything, basically, if you do.
So all I'm saying, and so here's my quote. Ambassador Young said this: to live, he was on that balcony with Dr. King, was shot. To live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of modern slavery. That's what I'm saying. The game has changed.
I'm not at all saying that those structural barriers that existed during Wall Street are still the same now. Like, obviously things have changed and progressed, and certainly we have numerous examples of in our community of people hustling harder to overcome some of these structural barriers, to do what you said, waking up twice as good, twice as smart. We know the twice as rule. All of us that are Black got told that in our homes every day. But the other question I'm wondering is, do you think capitalism is enough to be dramatic about it, to save Black folks? Is capitalism a more dedicated approach to capitalism liberate Black people?
No, God can only liberate Black people. And we've stepped away, and we're stepping away, in my opinion, we're stepping away quietly, gently from the one thing that's been our ace in the hole, which is our spirituality. Religion's falling away. We used to go when I was coming up. Went to church every Sunday. Now I see less and less people doing that. But really, I'm more concerned about spirituality, because we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And whenever I go to give speeches, people are surprised when I give honor to God, or they say, "How do you do it?" And I point up. People come, "Oh, thank you for." I don't hear that anymore. Thank you for talking about the man. I have no idea what they're talking about. Like that's part of me. So the world can't save you. The world's going to be unfair. The world's going to be cruel. Hurt people hurt people. Look at what happened in the election. I mean, the world's not going to save you. You're going to have to save you. Now, what tool can save you? Actually, capitalism can help to save you in the modern world we live in, because it's a tool and a system that, and artificial intelligence, we talk about that in a minute. If you have financial literacy and AI literacy, you actually can rise above your station and maybe define the station in one lifetime, like you and I have done. And all I'm saying is, we've never tried it. We've tried government. Did that work? We've tried civil rights alone. But by the way, where would we be without civil rights? But alone, did that work? I mean, you can go down the list. People, good people, go God-fearing, go to church. Is being a good person alone? Did that work? Obviously not. So we live in a capitalist democracy. So let's look at our neighborhoods. Now, I want you to get a snapshot in your head of a neighborhood that you care about. I got one in my head in South Central. Check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, next to a pawn shop, next to a fast food restaurant, and a church down the street. The church your therapist, trying to make sure you don't go crazy. But all those businesses are preying on you. They're pimping you because you have a 500 credit score and they know it. And it is very expensive to be poor. So here is bad capitalism compressing you. The Klan's not walking through that neighborhood. No one with pitchforks walking through that neighborhood. You're being pumped every day from your daily existence. You raise you 15 minutes from that neighborhood, Jemele. 15 minutes. I've mapped every credit score in America by zip code. I'm not being dramatic here. I'm being specific. 15 minutes away from that zip code is a 700 credit score neighborhood in every urban community in America where you have nirvana. It's just, two-parent households, people going to church, people going to Whole Foods, sit-down restaurants, police officers are respectful to you. These are Black neighborhoods too, by the way, because the credit score has raised to a point where the economy is thriving, and you've gone from a surviving mindset to a thriving mindset. I've told mayors I got this best-selling book, Financial Literacy for All, #1 in the country for the last 8 months. I've told mayors on my tour, just get your credit score up 100 points in your neighborhood. You want to see a transformation? You want to see crime go down and disappear? You want to see two-parent households to proliferate? You want to see home ownership increase? You want to see your tax base increase? You want to see optimism increase? I know it sounds crazy. Just increase your credit score 100 points throughout your neighborhood so it's above 700. It's not about the credit score. It's about the trending indicators of what's underneath it: hope, well-being, faith, belief, confidence, trust. What is capitalism? Capitalism comes from the Latin root word capitas, knowledge in the head. What is credit? Comes from the Latin root word credito, means credibility. What's banking? A trust business. So none of it is what you see. None of it is what you think it is. The bank's not racist. The bank's a capitalist. And if you have a 580 credit score, they're not making you a loan. You think it's racism. And in reality, they'd love to make you a loan to make some profit, but they're not giving you a loan and not going to tell you why for fear of being sued. So we're the only nonprofit allowed to operate inside of a bank branch in U.S. history. I got 1,500 branches across America. I'm making loans, Jemele. I've never I've made a promise to every black person I met. You do what I say. And if the bank doesn't fund your loan, I will. And in 32 years, $4.5 billion in capital deployed, I've never had to fund a loan for anybody who did exactly what I said. Get your credit score up, your debt levels down, your savings up, so you can meet the ratios so the bank can say, yes, we don't understand the game. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. And now it's gone. Now the game has really become capitalism. I mean, this last election was about money. Andrew Young told me 10 years ago, Ambassador Andrew Young, John, if we ever lose political power or civil rights influence, the only thing we're going to have less is economic power. You cannot get unfocused. We need an economic infrastructure for Black America. We don't have it. That's what I'm trying to build. That's what I'm committed to build. And I just think that financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. I just tell people, fine, you're listening to this and you got all kind of problems with what I'm saying. That's cool. It's okay if you don't like me. I like me. But why don't you try out why don't you test me? Try you what are you arguing about with your mate? Money? What are you arguing about? What's domestic abuse about? Money? Why are you having a heart attack? Stress. What's stress about? Money. Why'd you move to another city? Money. It was a contract, an opportunity, cost of living, something. Money. I mean, your day is about money. What's the one thing we're not expert at, Jemele? Money. There's our problem right there. In a capitalist the biggest economy in the world. And yeah, they may not like you, but now they need you.
Now, getting back to the lift as lift as you go that you've talked about, and the amount of financial power that Black people have now, we have more probably than any point we've ever had in American history.
Yeah.
And one place that shows up is in sports, which is one of the many reasons I wanted you in this on this podcast. You look at now, athletes are making more money. Black athletes are making more money than they ever had, but yet, you know the statistic. I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times. 78% of professional athletes, when they leave,
bankrupt.
They are bankrupt. They
5
are
years.
broke, or they face with it's
hardship.
I think it's within 3 years it's financial hardship. 5 years is bankruptcy
and divorce.
And divorce. You are absolutely right. What is happening there? Why do you think this is, despite all the information that we have about our finances? Why is that still something athletes struggle with?
So the only problem with this conversation we're having is that it's logical. And money's not logical. Money's emotional. So the urgent crowds out the important. And low self-esteem calls you to focus on bling. So if you have low self-esteem, and a lot of our people in our community, if we talked about that, look, when we were brought from Africa, so if you come voluntarily as an immigrant to this country, think about what it takes to go from Nigeria or Ghana or South Africa or India voluntarily. You got, you heard the story, $20 in your pocket, one plane ticket. You're leaving everything that's known in your country. You're leaving your friends, your family. You come here, you arrive at Ellis Island or LAX or wherever, and you're like, I'm going to live the American dream, blah, blah, blah. And you hustle, you go get a little job. You heard the whole story. That takes incredible self-esteem, incredible confidence to work your way through that and to live together with people you don't know, earn some money, save some money, buy a house, all that kind of stuff. But if you're brought from Africa and we were told we were stupid, we were told we were, we're lazy, completely ridiculous. This was an agricultural age, and they brought us from Africa as we were agricultural geniuses. And this was so the way you build up an economy in the 1600s was to crop, and the crops in the southern soil were hard to the soil was like dead soil. It was heat beaten, and it was just really hard to bring back to life. Who's an expert in dead soil? Hot environments. Black Africans. So they brought these geniuses of the land. I'm answering your question. I'm getting to your point. They brought us here, big, burly, strong, but they had to break that self-esteem. They had to break that confidence. They had to break that will, because they had to go to sleep at night, and they were outnumbered. So they took their wife of the dude, and they abused her in front of him until he stops trying to fight back. You can't protect her. Then they took the children, they sold them off into different directions. You got no hope, brother. There's nothing to fight for. Just calm down. Now, what they didn't want is to break the body. So they need the body to work. And we built this country for free, the biggest economy in the world. We built Wall Street, we built the White House, we built the Capitol, like literally built the Capitol in Wall Street, like literally. Wall Street was actually originally in Montgomery, Alabama. That's a whole other podcast for another time. But Wall Street was there because that's where the money was, because slavery was there. So they broke our self-esteem. They never repaired it. And we never healed. What we have are these bodies. What we have is confidence because we're competent. So confidence comes from competence. If you're competent, you're confident. So we have enormous confidence. In my opinion, our biggest problem is, I've talked to Charlemagne about this depression situation. He'll be speaking on it next month in my Hope Global Forum. We have low self-esteem. If you have low self-esteem, you want the bling. You want loud. You want everybody to know what you got. You want to wear your assets on your ass. And you're not making rational decisions. You want to make a bad decision, make an emotional one. So the one gift I had was my mother told me she loved me every day of my life. Juanita Smith. She gave me several gifts, but that one was a big one. And I didn't realize it until later. That's why I can say it's okay if you don't like me, I like me. You know, I really respect me and learn to like me. They like me, never respect me anyway. Like my mother told me that. There's a difference between being broke and being poor. But being broke is economic, being poor is a disabling frame of mind. So if you come up from these neighborhoods that are poor in spirit for whatever reason, I'm not judging, I'm just saying this is your legacy, and no one ever repairs your self-esteem, but you're competent because you're an incredible athlete. They're not trying to repair your self-esteem. They're actually encouraging you to leave college as soon as possible, where you might get self-esteem in a sense of accrue. They're trying, you need to go into pros as soon as you can so everybody can get paid. So now you've been rushed through the system because you're talented, you're not repaired the breach. Now you've gone from trying to figure out how to get $20 to being presented with $20 million. What's the first thing you're gonna do? First year, you're gonna spend it. All of it. I don't care what anybody tells you, I don't care what financial literacy lesson you get. You've been told you're a god, little g. Your body seems to prove it. They're paying you an ungodly amount of money. You're a gladiator. And you're not going to listen to anybody. Very few people do. Some do, but most don't. A-Rod, Magic Johnson, they took a different approach, right? But they were also, by the way, had family members who poured into them in a different way. So I think that's your answer. Is initially you're just getting off on the wrong foot because it's not a capitalist job to repair your self-esteem. The capitalist job is to use your talents to the benefit of the markets. Jemele, give me 1 minute to explain what capitalism is in a trade. Okay. Because I think this is helpful. Please, everybody listening to this, and I hope somebody still got their hands folded and they got a little bit of an attitude, because I'm coming at you hard. I hope you still somebody not feeling it yet. I want you to understand something. Your capitalism is this. There's a table in your room, in your bed, or wherever, the table in the field. On the one side of the table is somebody trying to sell you something. The other side of the table is you trying to buy something. On the right side is the person trying to sell you something. That person's job is to extract the maximum amount of money from you while giving you the least amount of value. That's their job. Your job is to extract the most amount of value for the least amount of money. That's your job. Everybody's doing, hello, listen to me now, their job in a market transaction. And a good negotiation is where everybody leaves the table slightly annoyed because you didn't get everything you wanted. All too often, the markets get it all because you're financially illiterate and you were looking for that short-term hit, I want that bag. And you didn't ask for anything else. You didn't ask for a financial advisor. They would have given it to you. You didn't ask for a private banker. They would have given you that. You didn't ask them to set up a family office for you and your family. They would have given you that. You didn't ask for your personal assistant to be hired by them who had an accountant in a business background, and they'll pay for it for the first 2 years. They would have given you that. They'd have given you anything reasonable to get you to say yes. What you asked for was some shoes, a lease car. You want a house for your mama? They'll pay. You're gonna pay for that one. You want to go to a club where you're gonna pay for some overpriced alcohol that they sell for you for $1,000 and really cost them $25. You want? I mean, they're gonna give you what you asked for. Stop asking for different. Start asking for different things. I really want to create a group of counselors. I may call it the counselors of people like my boy Reggie Jackson, who's a friend of mine, who's done very well, by the way. A-Rod and Bishop T.D. Jakes and all these people who are friends of mine. I want us to be the counselors who we don't have any financial interest whatsoever. You should join us. And we should go talk to these athletes and lovingly curse them out first year.
I think that's
you tell you the truth. You're about to lose everything. Like, knock it off. We don't want nothing. We're not your agent. We're not your manager. You can't do nothing for us. We don't want you. I'll take a picture with you. I don't need. I don't need. I don't want anything. I don't need it. I want you to be successful. Why would I give you bad advice?
So along those same lines, I saw a couple of athletes, Russell Okung being one, NFL offensive lineman, Odell Beckham Jr. being another. And both of them converted their salaries to Bitcoin, which has surged, as you know, since Donald Trump has been reelected. What are your thoughts? Because this has been, some of the conversation in professional sports about athletes taking part of their salary, diverting. Trevor Lawrence did the same thing. Part of his salary he converted to Bitcoin. What is your perspective on Bitcoin as an investment tool? And let me just say for the audience listening real quick before you answer, a quarter of Black people own crypto compared to just 15% of whites. Mm-hmm. Black people overly invest in Bitcoin and crypto. So as someone who is obviously a financial guru, what is your perspective on Bitcoin and crypto?
Don't use your rent money. What billionaire do you know? And I know a lot of them. You know some too. What billionaire do you know who said, I'm selling a building in Times Square, pay me in Bitcoin. I'm cashing out on this deal, fund me in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Like, what? No, just what billionaire you know, or a real billionaire now, not one of these social media, whatever, who says that's my work. Tony Ressler is one of my business partners. Tony's worth 10 or $12 billion. Tony was speaking at the Milken conference and he was asked about Bitcoin. Sorry, by the way, Bitcoin has done well, but it's luck. Okay. Really what you want underneath that is really blockchain technology. But there have been 20,000 cryptocurrencies and 18,000 of them went bust. No one talks about that. It's cryptocurrency is like a gym membership. It's only worth if you use it and people are hyping it. Gym membership is valuable to you if you use it and everybody's talking about, hey, have you been to that gym? Oh, there's some fine girls over there too. There's some handsome dudes over there. Oh yeah, let's go. It's a cool place. They got a little cafe. It's only valuable if you're using it and if you're hyping it. If it's not hyped and it's not used, it's just a place with some equipment in it and it's gonna go broke very quickly. Cryptocurrency has no assets underneath it. There's no financial. It's gambling. It's really speculation. It's not even gambling. At least in Las Vegas, right? There's a set sort of rule table, and poker has rules and all this kind of stuff. Cryptocurrency is just wild, wild west. Now, my wife did Bitcoin. She got lucky, but you know what? If she didn't get lucky, she's got me, right? So Tony Ressler was at this conference. He's worth $12 billion last time I checked. $10-12 billion. Somebody asked him about Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency. He raised his hand. He said, look, if somebody can tell me how the price goes up or the price goes down, I'll buy some. No one could answer the question because there is no answer to the question. It's hype and speculation. There is no rational reason why Bitcoin is at 10,000 or 70,000. There's no rational reason. And if you want to know what people really feel about cryptocurrencies and all this stuff, look at what they cash out to. they cash out to U.S. currency. Look at what a couple of these cryptocurrencies have backfilled themselves with treasury bills in order to provide some stability. I mean, and why are black people over-indexing on that? It goes back to what we were talking earlier, surviving mindset. When you have low self-esteem and you have a surviving mindset and you don't believe in the system and you're angry, you're making an emotional decision. No, fuck this, the hell with this system. I'm going to go to create a whole new system. I'm going to get rich quick this way. Again, chasing that bag. Short-term, emotional is going to be a bad decision, generally speaking. I bought some cryptocurrency. I lost my ass. I did it as an experiment. And I couldn't wait to sell it, right? I have no idea. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying, if you can afford to, don't use your rent money, but put it as part of your portfolio and whatever. But I'd also say to athletes, if you're listening to this, you should be listening to Jemele Hill every day. Whatever she says, y'all should be listening to her. If there's athletes, prospective athletes listening to this, I would say this. When you get your contract, and you've worked your whole life to be the best at what you do. You practice, 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, maybe more. You know why you're successful, and you know why they're paying you what they're paying you. Why they're paying you $20 million? What dawned on you to take $4 million of the $20 million and to hand it to your broke ass cousin JoJo, who can't manage his job and the paycheck at the corner station, and he's now your financial. I can't even get this out. He's now your financial planner, or he's got a restaurant idea, and he's going to start a restaurant. The worst businesses you can start, and everybody wants to do it: a restaurant and a club, and a clothing line. Please tell me, somebody, what athlete self-starter clothing line has worked. Please, somebody tell me. Tell me what restaurant didn't lasted more than 5 years. Grand opening, grand closing. Please tell me what club lasted more. These are vanity products. These are vanity plays. And by the way, Jemele, this is private equity also. It's just hood private equity. It's private equity. You're using private money funding somebody else's equity. You're never getting that money back. When I say never, I mean never, right? So if you want to do crypto, if you want to hook up Pookie and them, I mean, cool, but have a foundation. Literally have a foundation for your life. Have a will, have an insurance policy, have a trust account, get yourself a family office set up, have a proper professional who works 40 hours, 60 hours a week to become expert at what he's doing, just like you're an expert at what you're doing. You know people who are smarter than you in their respective area who have good credentials. And anybody who wants to come hang out with you at the club at midnight who wants to be your CPA is grounds for them to be fired immediately. You want the most boring people in the world as your advisors. I really over-answered that question.
No, that's premium advice. And for the audience, just so they know that what you said about Bitcoin and crypto, and not that you need the validation at all, because your credentials are unquestioned. But here's Warren Buffett talking about crypto and Bitcoin.
If the people in this room owned all of the farmland in the United States, and you offered me a 1% interest in it, and you said for a 1% interest in all the farmland in the United States, pay our group, well, let's see, 10 million, pay us this bargain price, $25 billion. I'll write you a check this afternoon, $25 billion, now I own 1% of the farmland. If you tell me you own 1% of the apartment houses in the United States, and you offer me a 1% interest, so I'll have a 1% interest in all the apartment houses in the country, and you want whatever it may be for it, then call it another $25 billion or something. I'll write you a check. It's very simple. Now, if you told me you owned all of the Bitcoin in the world, and you offered it to me for $25, I wouldn't take it, because what would I do with it? I have to sell it back to you one way or another. I mean, maybe I have the same people, but it isn't going to do anything. The apartments are going to produce rental, and the farms are going to produce food. And if I've got all the Bitcoin, I'm back where whatever his name was, who may or may not have existed, was 15 years ago. If I've got it all, he could create a mystery about it. But everybody knows what I'm like. I mean, so if I'm trying to get rid of it, people will say, well, why should I buy some Bitcoin from you? I mean, why don't you call it Buffett coin? Make your own or something. What? Do something. But I'm not going to give you anything for it. And you'd be right, incidentally. But that explains the difference between productive assets and something that depends on the next guy paying you more than the last guy got.
So you're talking about the gamble that is Bitcoin and crypto. Another very interesting fact related to sports is that there are more people gambling on sports than investing in the stock market. So what does that say about the financial literacy of this country?
Well, you take that and what happened with the the elections, the presidential elections, and you put them together, and you only come to one conclusion. It's not just black and brown people that are financially illiterate. The whole country is. I mean, if you're making, here's a fact. The biggest economy in the world, sole superpower in the world, United States of America, just under $30 trillion of GDP, gross domestic product, income for the country. 70% of that, Jemele, is consumer spending. 70%. 70. You and me paying for car notes, going to restaurants, tipping somebody at a hotel. 70% is consumer spending. Now, we're going to come back to this in a minute because it's really important, because it goes back to demographics of destiny and why people need to be obsessed with the conversation we're having right now. And 70% of all Americans, 70, are living paycheck to paycheck. And if you're making $100,000 a year, 50% of those are living from paycheck to paycheck. And if you're making $250,000 a year, a third of those today are living paycheck to paycheck. You're living in Manhattan and you make $100,000 a year. It feels like $39,000. You're living in LA, you're making $100,000 a year. It feels like $50,000. So this is everybody's issue. The country is financially illiterate, and the fact that people are gambling multiple times more than they're investing should be troubling to everybody. The fact that we decide to hold our nose and our ears and elect and pull the election button because we thought we were going to put something that's going to go in our pockets should concern everybody. I've said we live in a capitalist democracy. We just proved it. I think that back in the day of Jesus, we had a chance of we could have put our culture inside of our economy inside of our culture. I think we should have put our economy inside of our culture, but it is obvious to me we did the obvious now. We did the opposite now. We put our culture inside of our economy, and dang near everything is for sale. Why is a woman at a strip club at 3 a.m? She's got 3 children at home. She wants some 300-pound dude throwing money at her with a body odor? No. She wants money. Why is a woman with an abusive man? Money, trying to take care of her kids, and she's trying to protect them with a roof over their head. You can go on and on and on. So why are people gambling? Because everybody thinks they're going to get rich. And I tell people, first of all, Las Vegas was created by the mob. Let's start there. That's real talk. Like, that's real talk.
There's no question. It is not debatable. It was.
And it was a couple buildings in the middle of the desert. Now, I want everybody to put an image in their head of Las Vegas today. So you flying in there. I go to Las Vegas for 2-3 days, but I don't stay a week. And I'm not at the craps table. I go for 2-3. I go to a couple shows, go to a restaurant. $100. I'm cheap. I am. And that's $100 between me and my wife. You better win something.
It's 50. It's 50 each.
It's 50. You better win something with that $50 you got, because you're not getting no more, right? Las Vegas, serious talk now. Las Vegas keeps getting bigger. Why? Because collecting more than they're paying out. I can't make it more simple than that. Why are betting houses expanding? Because it's a business model that works. They're collecting more than they're paying out. So investment, you can't control any of that, but you can. There are three things that have never gone down in American history: real estate values, stock market values, and American GDP. And now, where do we live? Where do our people live before you make it? We live in the hood.
Well, because we're running a little short on time, but before I get you out of here, as you know, NIL, name, image, and likeness, has created a different universe for college athletes, and many of them are on these campuses. They're billionaires. You know, I covered college sports for 6 years,
Yeah.
and usually you go in the players' parking lot or where the players park outside the arena and or the football stadium. They got hoopties. You know, they got like an old Cutlass,
Yeah.
maybe a little, Cavalier. Now they driving Lambos. They living a life, and I'm happy that they're able to finally benefit off the labor that has built college football into a billion-dollar business. But these athletes that are becoming these instant millionaires while 18, 19, 20 years old, what advice would you give to them as they figure out their financial identity?
So go have some fun, but literally define it. You have $100,000 from a promotional contract. You got to pay taxes on that, right? Get a tax pro. You got to take taxes on that. You're going to need some money to live on. You're going to invest a piece of money. Take 20 grand and decide that's my fun money. I'm gonna go blow that. And I understand when you get that loan for the Lambo or the truck or whatever, that's bad debt. Just understand that bad debt is tied to an asset that depreciates, and good debt is tied to an asset that appreciates. So we talked about some assets that appreciate: stocks, bonds, real estate, business. These are things that over time, if you're smart, do it well, will appreciate. So no billionaire became a billionaire, and no city or country became a successful city or country without good debt. So there's nothing wrong with debt. You want good debt tied to something that appreciates. But when you buy that Lambo, just know this is just fun money. I'm just giving it away. When you're renting in that fancy apartment, just know you're opening up a window and just throwing it out the window. I heard of this WNBA player who's paying $7,000 a month in Chicago.
To my Angel Reese, she
Yeah.
said that's what she was paying. Yeah.
And when she had never done her budget, or one of her fans had to tell her that she was spending more than she was making in her salary. The rest of the money came from promotional stuff. But she's gonna be broke if she doesn't solve this, because when your outflow exceeds your inflow, then when your outflow exceeds your inflow, then your overhead will be your downfall. And I would tell these players, you got to decide whether you want to be famous or you want to be dangerous. You got to decide whether you want to be rich or you want to be wealthy. So rich is a contract. So please hear me. Rich is a contract. And you can be rich. You can be ghetto rich. And you can be temporary rich. And you can be almost rich. And I used to be rich, okay? But when all a contract is cash flow. That's all it is. Cash coming to you, flow, right? It's going to flow somewhere. And if you don't do what we've been talking about for this last 45 minutes, it's going to flow to people who actually understand how money becomes wealth. And that won't include you. And when it stops flowing, and it will, either in your college years, if you don't make it to the pros, or 3 to 5 years into your pros, and we've already talked about the most pro athletes are bankrupt in 3 to 5 years, okay, after retirement, you're going to be separated from your wallet, and you're going to have the same expense level. Please hear me. You've been living a lifestyle, and you want to retain that lifestyle. And when your cash flow drops below that lifestyle, and as you're making money, your lifestyle will meet your cash flow. That's just, unfortunately, is human behavior, particularly of low self-esteem or family issues, or whatever, identity issues. You will keep trying to look better. And when your income stops, and it will, before you're 30, the debts now will kill you, will literally wash over you. What you need to do is at every stage of your career, a little of that money is going into investment. And you build wealth in your sleep. Please hear me. You make money during the day. You build wealth in your sleep. You only build wealth in your sleep. Get your term life insurance policy for $1 million. You're a young athlete. You're in perfect health. This will cost you $25 a month for a $100,000 policy. It would cost you $50, sub $100 a month for a $1 million term life insurance policy. You don't know how long you're going to live. You damn sure know you're going to die. So when you pass on, there's going to be $1 million policy that you put into your trust that goes to your children or your wife or whoever, and you will create generational wealth even if you lose yours. So these are some tricks that are easy and not expensive and won't crimp your lifestyle. I'm not telling you not to have fun. I'm not telling you not to have bling. I'm telling you that this is a game and you got to figure out whether you're going to play it or be played by it. Before you go, I want to talk about this Tyson Jake Paul fight because it's right on everybody's mind.
Okay. Share what's on your mind.
So I love Mike Tyson. I wanted him to win. I was rooting for him. I mean no disrespect by this whatsoever. I think the dude is amazing. And he came up when boxing was, I mean, if you could be a boxer, that was it. So I'm not hating on him, but I'm telling you, he got played. So
how so?
He was paid $20 million. Nobody's going to say that was a bad payday. Jake Paul got $40 million. I'm not finished. That's the beginning. The producer of the biggest biggest gate show outside of Las Vegas for boxing in history. The producer was MVP Productions, which Jake Paul owns. Jake Paul got Netflix. I'm pretty sure, Jemele, Jake Paul wouldn't got Mike because he knew he couldn't pull it on his own. He's not that popular. You needed somebody who's iconic like Mike. And Jake Paul is going to get all the rebroadcast fees from Asia. That's $10 million. From Europe, another $10 million. No, $20 million in Asia. $10 million, $12 million in Europe is my guess. He's going to get Africa. That's going to be less, but it'll be something. He's going to get, one of these days, Africa's going to be everything, by the way. He's going to get Latin America. By the time he finishes, he's going to have rebroadcast fees approaching $100 million. He's got merchandising. He had sponsorship leading up to the fight. I mean, I break this down in my podcast that I did on Money and Wealth, and people can watch I go through it for 45 minutes. I go through the whole thing. But Mike got a payday. Jake got wealth. And Jake even knew, he was even smart enough to know it's not in his business best interest to try to knock Mike out because it wouldn't be good for his brand. The whole audience was with Mike. Why do that when you've already robbed him? You already got paid.
That's a word, right?
He actually gave Mike respect at the end of the thing. Everybody, Mike Tyson. Oh, Mike. Of course, I didn't want to hurt him. Of course, you want to hurt your payday. That is the reason that you were even here, man. And he made it clear at the end. This was about money, and he was in control all of it. If you listen to the end of the fight when Jake's talking, he makes it perfectly clear. And we don't understand the game, Jemele. I only break this down because it's right. It's just happened. It happened in front of, it was 280 million subscribers at Netflix who had never done a promotion for boxing in their history. So who brought him in? Oh, by the way, and he gets his YouTube channel. Oh, I forgot this. He's going to get paid from YouTube. I mean, you can't make this up. Jake's a businessman who got into boxing 4 years ago and got into promotion 3 years ago. Now, if Jake Paul can do this, and he is not that smart, why in the hell can we do it?
That's a word. Now, really, this is the last question. I call it the messy question of the podcast. This is where the controversy starts. You mentioned one incident where you did something that wasn't financially smart a few years ago, but what would you say is the dumbest financial decision you've ever made?
Chasing women, chasing clout, trying to impress people I didn't know with money I didn't have, to talk about stuff that don't matter in places that I couldn't afford that don't exist anymore. Like wasting the time I wasted trying to be ghetto famous or ghetto relevant or Foursquare block famous. Or the time I wasted trying to impress somebody who's broke today, who tried to get a job from me, the time I wasted, that was my biggest, because I'm my biggest investment. So I'd rather you waste my money than my time. I'm ruthless about my time. You can waste my money. This week, somebody got me twice, two different instances. Somebody got me for a couple dollars. It'll never happen again. But I'm not mad about that. I can make my money. What I can't get back is my time. So I'm just ruthless about my time. I am very intentional. As your world gets bigger, your circle should get smaller. Right? When I saw you, you didn't have a big entourage around you. It was you and your luggage trying to mind your
That
own
was
business.
it. That was it.
Minding your own business. I was by myself, minding my own business.
Yep.
Right? I just cannot stress enough. If you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. Why kids want to be rap stars, athletes, and drug dealers? Because all they see is images of success. Or rap stars, which you cannot replicate. Athletes, which are going, statistically, you're not going to be Michael Jordan. I'm sorry. I don't care how much talent you have. And you shouldn't want to be the drug dealer. But only 3% of black people are engineers, and that's a guaranteed $100,000 paycheck every year for the rest of your life. I mean, I can do this all day and all night. Like we're looking for love in all the wrong places. And so anybody who's coming up saying, well, I wanted that girl, I wanted her to like me, or I want that guy. Look, there are no ugly billionaires. There are no unattractive multimillionaires. You're successful, folks will find you. People will find you. I've seen some ugly dudes with some fine women. And the opposite is also true. So I think
I was like, I don't know of a billionaire that's single.